Welcome to our midweek thoughts. I'm here with the staff team of First CRC Barrie, and we are really excited to share with you a conversation with Pastor Amy and Pastor Nick Boling and their family, where we can get to know them a little bit better.
Thanks, Steph. You're right. We are going to be meeting the Bolings with this midweek thought devotional this week. And before we meet them at the end of the video, we're first going to talk to a few people to let us know kind of how we got to this point. So we're going to be talking to Phyllis, who was part of the search committee. And we're also going to be talking to Nathaniel, who is on council, and he's going to talk about their impressions of the Boling family. So Phyllis, you're up first. Take it away.
Thanks, guys. I'm Phyllis Alberts-Myers. I worked with the search committee this past while, looking for a second pastor or a co-pastor for our congregation. Last fall, after Pastor Mike left, the budget was approved, and the budget contained the approval to go ahead with a second pastor search. So given the confidence of that, the council put together a committee and we began our work. The committee that they put together consisted of John DeWinter, Kim Borgdorf, Nathaniel Couperis, Lori Van Kampen, Ed Ices, myself, and then we had Paul Van Lunen and Pastor Moses come in as ex officio to support the process as well. So we got our committee going and we started the work of finding another pastor for our congregation. What was our process? Our initial process involved a lot of discernment. We had some administrative things to do. We had to place an ad, we had to navigate the websites and get all of that administrative stuff done. But a lot of the things that we did were talking, praying, throwing things back and forth with each other, and trying to figure out what church might look like at the end of this pandemic, and who are we looking for, and what's it going to look like? So we did a lot of talking about those things. Some of the things that we decided was that church is going to look very different, and our people are going to be far, and some of our people are going to be near, but we don't know which people are going to be far and which people are going to be near. So the pastor that we were going to look for was someone who had a shepherding strength, who would be able to find those far away and to help them move closer back into the church. So that was a really important thing, because we miss our people and we'd like to be together in the future. Also, technologically, things have just changed so much. So we wanted that to stay. We wanted that momentum to be kept to a certain degree. Of course, we want in-person worship, but we've grown so much as a congregation with the amazing use of technology. So our new pastor, we were hoping, would be somebody who would not be afraid of technology and would be at least willing to support our team in their excellent use of technology going forward. On that, though, we also recognize that the momentum of the use of technology and the creativity that we have seen over the past year from our team would be a little bit difficult to maintain. And so whoever it is that we bring in, it would be somebody, we hoped, that would be able to support the team and to work well with them. Also, it's a tricky world for our church at the end. Our denomination is going through some things, and we just don't really know what that all looks like. So we were, again, brought back to that identity of a very strong pastoral leader, and that came up over and over again. So pastorally, we hoped that the candidate would be a very, very gifted individual. And finally, the Growing Young initiative seems to have found some good deep roots and some appreciation in our congregation. And we really felt that it was important that the candidate that we present to council and eventually hopefully to the congregation would be someone who could celebrate and envision the integration of all the generations into our worship and our ministries in very interesting and meaningful ways. So with all of that in our forefront, we consulted the staff. We spent some time talking with them and finding out their thoughts. And we looked around, we talked to people, and we did a lot of praying. We did a lot of searching with the Holy Spirit and talking. And we went forward and we began approaching ministers and having interviews. So Nick and Amy came kind of out of the blue. We were working with two other candidates that we were quite excited about and were wonderful candidates. And then Nick and Amy came in and we investigated their application and we had an interview with them. And at the end of that interview, something very special happened, and our entire committee was deeply moved and very much excited. And we didn't hesitate at all. We jumped on it and we right away phoned some references, obviously, and then we made a recommendation to council. And the committee just spent a lot of time talking about different people in the congregation and different demographics. And we said, how could Nick and Amy serve this group or this family or this person? And all of us felt very, very, very comfortable and excited about the potential for ministry and support and leadership that Nick and Amy bring to our congregation. But I'm going to let Nathaniel tell a bit more about what happened after that when it got to the council stage.
On behalf of council, we want to thank the search committee for all their hard work. There were 18 candidates that were considered, 4 of whom were interviewed, and we look forward to proceeding with the Bolings and presenting them to the congregation. So let's talk about their background. Amy grew up in South Dakota and Nick in Wisconsin. They met at Trinity Christian College in Chicago, where they felt God's call to ministry. They went to Calvin Sem for their first year and finished up in Holland, Michigan at Western Seminary. The Bolings have been serving Fair Memorial Reformed Church for the last 17 years, primarily in a youth pastor position. And following that term, they're taking a sabbatical to further discern whether ministry is their next step in life or whether they try and do something else. And so their pursuit of Barrie is through that discernment process. Something that really surprised me in our conversations with them, with the search committee and with council, is when they were asked, like, why Barrie? Why are you coming north to Canada? Amy responded with, we didn't think a church like this existed. We didn't think there was a church out there that had such a strong community, that was really focused on intergenerational warmth, that had a strong desire for the word being preached, and that had a position that wasn't focused on a youth pastor position, but one that was in a team ministry, and without a job description that they could help create and fill in with their gift set and skill set, that trust from the congregation was being brought to the position. They said they couldn't find anything like that in ministry. And I think that just represents our congregation so well and speaks so highly of the relationships that we cultivate here. So one of the things that we are talking about in the search committee and in council is, how do two people do a single position? And I talked about this with a former colleague of theirs that worked with them for 12 years. And I asked him, have you had issues with them in the past? And, he could not recount a single one. And I was just surprised, but I think that really speaks to Nick and Amy's humility, their character, and their ability to work in a team setting. So council received the search committee report, did their own homework, and then interviewed Nick and Amy themselves. And something that came through in that interview was their pastoral presence. There's a really calm cadence when you talk to them, and their interpersonal relationships really come through. Affirmation and hearing questions well will really suit them in individual visits. Also got a strong pastoral sense, and one council member responded to it this way. He said, it sounds like you, when someone's in pain, when someone's hurting, you leave the flock and you go after and you find the one, and you bring them back to the 99 after walking that journey of pain with them. And I think that's a really good description of how the interpretation of how they went through and walked through situations in Barrie. We also heard about their desire for kingdom vision and kingdom ministry in their neighborhood. And Nick loves block parties. They were very excited about our barbecue at Sunnydale Park pre-COVID, and we're looking forward to igniting that again and seeing how we can do that on our own streets or in our community in other ways. So that is pretty exciting to hear, and a real desire to grow in love with God and neighbor and help us at First walk through the next step of our journey together. So following our discussion with Nick and Amy, Council had private discussion about the Boling's gift set and the ministry here at First and how we think they might be a good fit. We voted unanimously to approve their names and send them to the congregation for a vote. It's very exciting, and I'm looking forward to you guys meeting them and getting to know them better. So why don't we do that now?
Thank you for that, Nathaniel. We are the Bolings, and we would like to introduce ourselves to you. I am Nick, this is Amy and our kids. Hey, one or two things about me. I'm a kite surfer, which means I love the wind. I love to be out in the water and the waves. I also have a couple other interests like guitar and woodworking. My real passion, though, is ministry. I love working in the church, working for God and His kingdom. But let's do some other introductions.
I'm Amy, and I really enjoy gardening and reading, and I love to explore new places.
I am Calvin, and I'm 8. I'm in 2nd grade, and I like cats and bouncing on the trampoline, and my main hobby is playing with the Lego Duplos.
Oh, good job, Calvin.
Thanks.
My name is Eliza. I'm in grade 3, and my passions are reading books and jumping on the trampoline.
That's true.
I'm Ben. I'm 12, and I like cats and fruit.
Grapefruit in particular. Yeah? Yeah. Well, that's us. We're the Bolings, and that's a little bit about us.
Well, being a Reformed Christian is something that Nick and I both feel very strongly about. So we come from the Reformed Church of America, and theologically it's very similar to the Christian Reformed Church in terms of doctrine of the Heidelberg Catechism and the creeds and confessions. And being a Christian of Reformed accent, I think it means that we look first at God's action in our lives and in the world, and then what do we do in response to God's action? We always look for God first and think about God's sovereignty in all of this. Also, I think something incredible about the way that Reformed folks look at the world is that God is truly God of all the world, that there's nothing that God is not God of. And so just having that Reformed worldview of there's not a whole difference between sacred and secular. Like God's world, it's all under God's authority, and God is King of all.
Right, and right along with that, the themes of creation, fall, and redemption that we find in the Bible, that becomes a perspective through which we view the world, through which we understand circumstances, both good and bad, all around us. That's a major part of being Reformed for me, this worldview and idea of creation, fall, redemption. And then also other themes, covenant, God's kingdom. There's a lot of great Reformed stuff. And that's, I guess, the core of our Reformed accent.
Why did we apply at First CRC? Our story is that we just felt a call from God to end at our previous church we felt a call away from the church, but we didn't feel a call toward anything. What we felt a call, I should say, we didn't feel a call toward any job. So what we felt a call to was an incredible leap of faith and trust in God, that God would be shaping us and forming us and provide for us in what for us became a time of sabbatical, a time of rest and reflection. So we took this leap of faith, and we really were intentional about what we wanted to do, because we had been pastoring at the same congregation for 17 years, and so you change over 17 years, right? And we had been growing, and we just weren't sure where God was calling us to serve at that point. And so taking some time off was really, really good for us to be able to say, you know what, everything is on the table. God, we will do whatever you want. We will serve you wherever you want. Does it mean construction work? Does it mean, what does it mean for us, God? We're open to anything.
Yeah, and here we found Barrie, and here's some of the things that first attracted us or interested us. We really liked the idea of how the staff works, or how the pastorate works at Barrie Church, that you've been used to having co-pastors who work alongside each other. You've also been studying into growing young. Boy, that's right along with what we've been thinking, and we wouldn't have to initiate a conversation. You've already been thinking and working hard there. So we perked up at that point, and then we started having conversations with people and really enjoying them, really enjoying getting to know Moses and Phyllis, people on the search committee, people on council. Yeah, so that's how we started, and we are now eager and interested.
Yeah, and I think First CRC is a very unique church. When we were looking at other churches, we weren't looking to move to Canada or to leave our current denomination, but we said everything's on the table. Lord, where would you have us go? And so just first, we read First CRC's posts and thought that sounds like an intriguing church. And the more we got to know you, the more we really liked you.
So one of the questions you must have is, hey, those are two pastors, and we were thinking about having one pastor, or we're used to having two. Well, this isn't terribly new for Amy and I. We think of ourselves as a single pastor. We're a clergy couple, and we have a few other friends who do clergy couple work as well. So we share, and we're used to sharing one job between us. We each have our gifts or skills. We're both very interested in doing the whole breadth of pastoring. But we learn how to manage it and work it together. Functionally, this might look like Amy goes in one day, or I might go in the next, or I have a busy appointment, so Amy, could I have hours here or there?
So I think we just, so you might be wondering, how in the world does this work? So we divide things up two ways. We really see ourselves as one position, two people working in one position. And so we divide things up either by interest or by time. Like Nick says, maybe he's got a busy week at church, multiple meetings, and then that's fine. So then Nick works that week and I'm home with the kids that week, and that's fine. Or sometimes things will arise if Nick's working on a project, or if I'm working on a project, then we work hard to give each other time at the office. But sharing a position has been a real benefit for our family. I know that we have seen pastors, and they can be very busy. And we have chosen intentionally that we don't want to be, if we have a choice, we would like to share, because that allows us a little bit more free time with our family, a little bit more free time. Like Nick can just pick up and go kite surfing if I'm there to cover, and that's fine. So I think for us, it has been really a great thing for our family, the flexibility that it allows. that we can be home with our kids when needed. And also with our unique gifts, I think. So you're used to having co-pastors, right? So, one pastor will connect with these folks and one pastor connects with these folks. And I think for us too, we do find that because some people feel a connection with Nick. And so he provides pastoral care for those folks. Some people would prefer to talk to me, and that's fine. So I think that's how we divide up things, either just purely by function, like who needs time that week, or by who's gifted in a certain area, or is that something needs to be done. So we're just really grateful to have been able to do this for almost 2 decades. Like, how wonderful that our first church took a chance on us. They'd never had a clergy couple either. And we didn't know what we were doing, but we figured it out. And so we've kind of gotten into a rhythm of working together, and it's been good for us.
Yeah, we've found it more of a benefit than a challenge, really.
I would say one thing that I am good at is being relational and trying to listen well. I think in what I do, I always try and see the person before the program or before anything, just to see the person. And I also am very passionate about intergenerational ministry. I think God has created us to be in community, and our communities hopefully will be filled with people of all ages. I think we have so much to learn from one another and so much to give to one another, that and God often uses other people around us to help us grow in faith and to challenge us. So being part of an intergenerational community is very exciting for me.
Sure, and I love preaching, teaching, community building. I hear you guys do a community picnic. Boy, I love that. I love bringing fun and life, not just to the church, not just to our kids, but community-wide. That's just wonderful. So when I think of skills, I also think of my upbringing as a farmer. Boy, farmers don't just do one thing. You got to be good with your hands. You're part weatherman, you're part you have a wide knowledge base. It's time to plant. It's time to do this and that. Pastoring might be similar. Boy, one day you might be calling, the next preaching, the next reaching out to a neighbor. I enjoy the breadth of ministry. It's hard to narrow things down. So the whole of it is maybe what I enjoy. Hey, we're going to say goodbye for now, but we really appreciate you tuning in, spending some time with us. Doing introductions and getting to know one another. And we'll keep doing this. Amy will preach this Sunday, and I'm going to preach on the 25th. And hopefully we find time to connect during coffee hour as well. So hey, goodbye for now for the Bolings. Can you guys say
bye?
Thank you to the Boling family for giving us the opportunity to get to know them a little bit better. We'd also like to thank Phyllis and Nathaniel for the work that they have contributed to get us to this point today.
As staff, we're really excited about the possibility of working together with the Boling family. And so I encourage you to come to church, not the physical church, but our church that will be streamed online this coming Sunday and Sunday 25th, as Nick and Amy will be leading us in worship. There will also be a question and answer time after worship on the 25th through our online coffee hour. I hope that you can come and meet them in person and also ask questions and get to know them. We're really excited about this possibility, and I hope you are too. Blessings.